Hey guys, welcome back to Sarcastic Remarks. Alongside Chris and James, my name is Ryan. We thank you for being here with us this evening. We thank our sponsors as well, Raycon, Game Time, and DraftKings Sportsbook, as always. I would say as always, but it hasn't been that way the last couple of weeks, where all three of us are actually here to talk about a Stars game. Gentlemen, how is it going?
It's going great. Back-to-back tutters for the boys. It's fantastic. We need those when the Cowboys aren't doing it.
Someone's got to score the touchdown.
Someone's got to do it.
Well, and speaking of scoring touchdowns, it seems like the line that's doing it lately, guys, has been the Duchesne line. They've been absolutely ridiculous. Otter has played pretty well. We've seen some steps made by some players. It's kind of nice. Finally, Hintz and Robertson finally get on the scorer's sheet. It's been such a long time since they've been on it. There's so many good things to talk about with this game here tonight. I guess I'll throw it off to you first, Chris. Where do you want to head off?
I mean, I think we should just start with Marchment. I mean, we talked about him a ton last game, but tonight as well, he just stays on the same pace. It looks like he can't miss right now, is really what it looks like. He's so confident, and that last goal really showed it. I mean, he triple taps to get the puck and instantly in the back of the net. There's no doubt in my mind as soon as that pass went to him that it was going to find Twine.
Yeah. I mean, he started 4 games with no points before the Pittsburgh game and then just goes off. Gets 5 in that one and gets 2 tonight. And honestly, that line could have scored another 5, it felt like.
Absolutely.
It's been so much fun watching those three guys. And it seems like they always start off the year just ridiculously hot. So not trying to be a Debbie Downer on this, but I want to see this continue for a long duration period of time. I'm not expecting them to keep up this kind of production because, oh my goodness, the last 2 games, they've been ridiculous. But I would like this to continue on consistently as well.
Yeah, this pace is kind of ridiculous, but I think a difference that we've seen so far this year as opposed to last season is last year, what slowed this line down was just injuries. And when those 3 guys weren't playing together, they couldn't convert the same way. So far this season, we've seen a couple of these guys get hurt and go out a couple of games, and they were still able to produce. And that's the big difference so far this year for me. And I think that's going to be really good for them to just keep the good vibes flowing, kind of. It's not going to be this good the whole season, obviously. This is ridiculous. But as long as they can consistently be putting up points, that they're going to be the best line in the league.
Yeah, and it's all together too. I mean, both their goals tonight, it touches all 3 of their sticks.
Oh my goodness, the last one. That was so much fun to watch. I guess for Marchment, he just has to get hurt, come back for like a shift, and then get hit in the face with a puck, and then he just becomes Wayne Gretzky 2.0, I guess.
Yeah, next time he goes to a scoring slump, we're just hacking a hole in Mason Marchment's cheek. That's now the voodoo breaker.
I don't know. I mean,
you said like 20 stitches on that gash, I think.
Man,
that is not a small cut. And he finished the game. Crazy. I love hockey.
I love hockey so much too. These guys are the toughest guys on the planet. They have to be. Anyways, let's talk about the big thing that you discussed over our group chat, Chris, was the surprising for you scratch of Matt Dumba for the 2nd game in a row. And I'm just saying the Stars in their goal differential are 14-3 in the last 2 games. Dumba hasn't touched the ice. So what I mean, tell the audience your thoughts, what you were telling us on the group chat.
Yeah, you were absolutely right last game, Ryan. I mean, having Dumba scratch 2 games in a row, that's not just sending a message to Dumba telling him he needs to play better. That's DeBoer saying, these 6 guys that I'm playing on the blue line are the best 6 guys I have right now, and they're going to give me the best chance to win. And the past 2 games, they have proven him absolutely right. Smith and Lundqvist have played amazing. They've been outstanding on that bottom pair. The top pair looks better. Heiskanen looks like he's playing easier. Keeping Harley and Lyubushkin together looks good as well. So right now, it's hard to argue that Dumba should be in. I mean, if DeBoer truly thinks that Dumba's not making this team better and is not going to give them the best chance to win, why put him in?
Yeah. I mean, and Nils Lundqvist especially is more of what I would want to point on. I mean, he's stepped up and with Dumba being out. It's back-to-back nights with 16 plus minutes, and he hasn't done that for a very, very long time.
I can't remember the last time he had a game where he had that much ice time, excluding a preseason game, I should say.
And he had a +3.
Yeah, and he played extremely well, super solid defensively. There was the early 3. Am I still here?
We lost you there for a second, Chris. Go ahead. Say what you were saying about Nels.
He had the early 3-on-1 that he broke up, or didn't break up, but played really well. He took away both passing options and just gave him a shot that Otter was able to save. I thought that was a great play. I thought he made several good plays like that too. And the other thing that we said we need to see from Lundqvist is that offensive potential. You saw it at the end of the period. They're rifling one off
with the
crossbar.
Stankoven chance. I mean, right. Well, and the Stankoven chance too. He was the primary assist giver there.
Primary assist on Stankoven, and that's one thing that he was talking about. I think this morning. I think I saw it on Twitter. I don't remember exactly who said this, so I apologize. But Lundqvist was saying that he's got to take shots from the point with the idea of getting them to someone who's in front of the net, either finding a stick to deflect them, or like what happened with Stankoven, finding a way for someone else to sop up the gravy after it bounces around a little bit. So I think he's done extremely well. This is the season that we wish we saw last year. Like it looks like he's taking steps. That's compressed. So I thought last year we would see this over the whole extent of the season, and right now it's 4 games.
Well, I was hoping for it 2 years ago, Chris, to be completely honest with you. But I mean, better late than never, I guess you could say. And I mean, in this particular case, the patience of Jim Nill, at least for the short term, is paying off. So, I mean, credit to him for giving him one more year.
We're still only at game 15, so it's not like he's panned out yet, but he's on track now.
But here's the thing, though, Chris. The fact that we're at game 15 and he's getting 16 minutes a night on ice is huge. That's enormous, considering the guy that was playing in the playoffs was getting 5 to 7.
Guy that wasn't playing in the playoffs, yeah.
Yeah. Well, touche. But anyways, to get it back to Matt Dumba a little bit, I mean, really, now what do you do after 2 big showings like that from the team? And I don't want to say the defense was 100% great, because especially at the beginning of the second period and maybe like the first 7 to 8 minutes of the second period, it's kind of the Bruins were kind of letting them have it. But overall, it was fairly solid, and Otter kind of was there to mop up any of the defensive miscues that they had.
Yeah.
And then sorry, one thought. There was only one instance where I was upset with Lundqvist and with Smith, and there was just one shift where they both made tried to make a stupid pass out of their own zone. It was back-to-back turnovers by both of them. However, because of all the good plays that they had in the game tonight, all of those good plays they both made completely outweigh the negative ones that they had. And like we talked about so much last year with Lundqvist, is that he makes these stupid plays, and if you just made more positive plays, then they can kind of counteract themselves. And now we're seeing it with both of these guys. And I will fall back on what I said about Smith earlier in the year. I hated Smith in the way that he played the first 6, 7, 8 games of the season. I did not like his game. But these 2 guys, dare I say they have a little bit of chemistry together? I mean, I don't know. Maybe, again, it's only 2 games, but there's something there to at least seems like that they can get some chemistry going.
Yeah, Smith has played much better than he did in the preseason. And to answer your question earlier, how does Dumba get back in? I think it's going to take Smith playing bad finally, and he's played pretty solidly the past 2 games, even playing on the penalty kill a good bit and looking solid there too. So right now, Dumba's waiting for somebody to screw up, I think, because he hasn't shown a reason to put him back in the lineup.
Yeah, okay. I had some other things I wanted to talk about, but first thing, okay. Oh yeah, that's what it was. That's where I wanted to go next with this. The Ben hit. To be completely honest with you, at first I was a little bit worried about the quote unquote dirtiness of the hit. Let me get your don't tell me your thoughts now. Tell me your initial thoughts after the hit. What did you think, it was dirty or did you think it was clean?
I thought it was boarding.
I thought it's kind of soft for a boarding call, but like if you're looking at the penalty, what is boarding? That's boarding. It wasn't a terrible one. He still hits him and he goes into the glass rather than low. And he kept the hit up too. I mean, normally you see those and it's right in the back and they're going down into the boards. And that wasn't what we saw. So that's where I was kind of like, it's kind of borderline boarding, but I don't think that it was as dirty as it looked in real time.
See, and that's kind of where I was leaning James a little bit, is when I first saw the hit, I was like, ooh, that looks really bad. That looks nasty. Was it boarding? Yes, I agree with you, Chris. So technically, I guess you could say it wasn't a clean hit. But at the same time, after I had thought about it more, it was almost like, oh, you're going to try to reversal me and lean into me? Okay. And he just lets him have it. And Ben shows Carlo how strong he really is.
Yeah, it wasn't a dirty hit by any means. It was one guy being a lot stronger than another guy. And Ben wasn't really expecting that. Like you said, he thought he was going to get a little bit of a reversal and have some more pushback, and Ben's a lot stronger than him. So that's really what it came down to, is Ben was way stronger than he thought he would be on that play, and it ended up causing the Bruins player to get thrown violently into the boards. But that's boarding. Boarding is checking someone violently into the boards. So it's a penalty.
And from behind, too. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
At least from the direction it was from behind. So
yeah. And that was because he was posing up to try and do a reverse hit.
Yeah, so that too.
Either way, it's a boarding. The 2 minutes is a good call. I kind of hate that they call the 5 minute just so they can review it now every time. I feel like that's stupid, but whatever. They got the call right in the end, I guess.
Yep. Now the other thing I wanted to mention about it is, you know what? Good for Jamie Benn for sticking up there in that fight with Zadorov. He was the one that initiated it. Zadorov wasn't the one. And then he got absolutely obliterated at the end of it. But he held his own for a good, 75, 80% of that fight.
He got good licks in the beginning. He was winning at first, and then Zadorov finally got his feet and just used his 4 inches of extra reach to get him. But that's one thing that Stars fans especially love about Jamie Benn. I mean, he gets under everyone else's skin because he's that physical kind of player and he loves the after the whistle stuff. But he always answers the bell, which is the great thing. I mean, I don't think Ben thought that was a dirty hit at all. He thought it was a big hit and maybe a little questionable, and he knows that he's going to have to answer for it. So what does he do? Answers for it immediately, puts it away, and then moves on. That's what's great about Jamie Benn. That's what's great about how he plays hockey. He is the quintessential hockey player. Yeah.
I mean, the big thing with that is that there's nothing else that comes out of it. It's the one penalty, the one fight, done. That's the rest of Jamie Benn in the penalty box for the rest of the night.
That's how you follow the unwritten rules of hockey. Jamie Benn showed it perfectly right there.
Chivalrous.
Very chivalrous.
Chivalrous. What is unchivalrous is how Zadorov ended the game. He was a poor loser at the end of the game. He gets a slashing call and gets a 10-minute misconduct. The one thing I will not, I don't hate about Zadorov is that he is a very passionate guy. And he hates to lose. I feel like the Stars could use more of that, but that's not the way to do it.
Yeah,
like the slash. Move. Yes, the slash was in the direction of Mason Marchment. I didn't even see it. I'm just relying on the commentary from Josh and Razor there. But come on, it's 7-2, man. Just give it up.
If you're pissed off that you're losing, fight somebody. Don't slash them. It's a pansy move.
Go find Mason Marchment and give him another scar to match.
I think Mason's not fighting until he gets the stitches out. I'm surprised he's skating around with just the visor. I mean, I'm scared of that thing just ripping open.
Well, he's doing excellent, and Zadorov was a little bit of a pansy there at the end of the game. Okay, now this next player we need to talk about more because he's been excellent, and he's been kind of silently under the radar just because we don't really view him as this. but Evgeny Dodonov deserves more praise and more hype than I think we've ever given him as a Dallas Star. He has been lights out excellent this season in a role that he shouldn't be playing on that top line with Robo and Hintz. And he's been the one getting all the points, not Robertson and Hintz. So I think we need to sing his praises at least for a little bit here for 30 seconds or a minute. What do y'all think about his play?
Dodonov's play creates goals for himself often, and that's where you get like the cherry picking. He does that a lot. He feels like he's always on a breakaway at least once a night, and he has that ability to create for himself. Now, when that comes to a line as a whole, that's when it's like kind of iffy, because the one goal that their line actually had was Robertson and Hintz kind of just throwing it in front. But his game is very, very special. I mean, that's something that you don't normally see. Normally it's a group of players or pair of players that are able to get it done. And it seems like he's always finding a way to do it himself.
Yeah, great night tonight. He had the goal scorer's touch tonight that he often misses. That's often the only thing missing from his game, but he had it tonight. He was fantastic. The penalty shots, they said he was like 4 for 5. 80% on penalty
now.
shots. And he's had 5 penalty shots in his career. Both of those stats are crazy. So awesome. Probably because of that cherry picking, like you were saying, James. That's probably why he gets so many of those penalty shots. Yeah, he had a great night tonight. I still don't love him on that top pair, but I mean, he earns his marks.
It's working
today.
right now.
He was fantastic. Well, I don't even know if I'd say he's working because he's scored both times without Rope or Robo on the ice. He was fantastic. He was so good tonight.
Okay, so is it really him? It's not him.
It's him by himself. That's what I would say.
It's not him. It's not his fault. Rope and Robo should be dominating that top line by themselves. It shouldn't matter who's with them. That's that. So really, if you're worried about what's wrong with Rope and Robo, it's Rope and Robo. Dodonov was fantastic tonight. He proved that. And Harrison had a great comment there. Jim Nill getting Dodonov for a 1-for-1 trade with Gurionov.
I was going to pull that
up. That's crazy. That's insane. I forget that happened. That's an amazing deal. That was at the trade deadline too.
Yeah, like what, 3 years ago now?
Something like that.
I think it was 3. I don't think it was at the trade deadline. I think it was before that. But
it was 3 years ago. It was the same year we got Domi.
Oh my gosh, it's been that long. Jeez, man. Okay. Anyways, my thought process when I thought it was just going to be a power play. Honestly, when he was awarded the penalty shot, I thought it was just going to be a penalty, and I was just like, okay, great, we're going to go. And then when he was awarded the penalty shot, I was just like, oh wait, he's really good at the penalty shot. I remembered that stat. I knew it was like he was above 60% or something like that. And in the back of my head, I was just like, oh, this is going in the back of the net. So I don't know. I had no doubt that he was going to be able to get that. It was a great shot. He had a great game. And, you know, I haven't even looked up his stats. What's his stats for the year? Anybody have that on hand?
I got him real quick. So he's played 15 games, 4 goals, 3 assists, 7 points.
A point every other game. That's exactly what you want from a guy that's supposed to play on your fourth line.
Yeah, yeah, that's another interesting thing about Dodonov. He started on the fourth line. He's on the first line. That there's not many players that do that in the NHL, I don't think.
Right. Okay, not a hard right turn, but segue into I want to talk about Robertson for a second. I don't know how you guys felt about him tonight. I thought he played miles better in this game tonight than I think I've seen in the last 2.5 weeks from him, especially. Now, I even posted on the Sarcastic Remarks X page. I was just like, wouldn't be surprised if he gets on the score sheet tonight. He does in a little bit of an obscure way, but he still does. So does that goal by Hintz and the assist by Robertson, do you think that opens up the floodgates for these two guys yet?
Yeah, I really hope so. They got to get going now because like that's the one thing that still hasn't clicked for the Stars. We were upset about the offense to start the season, and these last 2 games really help with that. But the one thing it doesn't really help with is that top line, and that's what we're still worried about. Is we're worried about those 2 guys. They got to get going. They got to figure it out. There's no Pavelski. He's not gonna come here with your blanket and help you score goals. So it's time to figure out how to do it without your dad on the line.
Yeah, it's something that's probably really strange for Robertson, especially. I mean, he's never he went almost 2 years scoring at least 1 point every 3 games, at least. And he goes 4 games in a row with no points. That has to be one of the weirdest things. And he does get on the score sheet tonight, like y'all said, but I really think it's going to be a lot more than that. He's going to have to fight a lot more than he's used to.
Agreed.
Random thought. Would it be a good idea to switch Dodonov and Wyatt Johnston, considering Wyatt Johnston, he's not playing bad. He's just absolutely snake bit. And maybe, I mean, that's exactly what happened 3 years ago or 4 years ago when Bones could not figure out any offense. He threw together the 3 top guys. He threw together Hintz, Robertson, and Pavelski, and he said, go. And they turned into the best line for like 2 years. Is it time for one of those unification of these 3 guys?
I really hope so. Funny stat on the night: the only forward to not get a point is Wyatt Johnston.
Oh my
which
gosh,
is ridiculous.
This team is
played well
so
tonight.
stacked.
Yeah, he played well, but he doesn't get on the score sheet. And I mean, it feels like all 3 of them kind of have the same thing going right now. Like they're all getting chances here and there, and Johnson definitely has the most out of all 3 of them. But they can't figure it out. They can't get the last little bit to make it click and make it go in.
Yeah, and I'm not too worried about it either long term. I feel like, especially if we've got the Duchesne line rolling like it is. This happened last year too. I mean, when one line would kind of go into a slump, another line would pick up and be this new top line. So that kind of is happening throughout the year. And these 3 guys are gonna figure it out before the end of the season rolls around. And especially, we saw last year that Johnston can pick things up when it matters the most. So long term, I'm not worried about it. But yeah, you got to keep an eye on it for them to figure it out.
Okay, so I did want to talk about the Smith Lundqvist pairing, which we already kind of did. But what do you think about the other 2 pairings, the way that they are right now? I mean, Essa on the top pairing makes a whole lot of sense. I'm honestly kind of surprised that we didn't try this sooner, considering the issues we've had on the back end for the last 2 years, trying to find somebody to play with Miro. And I know Miro's playing on the right side and everything like that again, but Essa's played really well. He really has. And he's just that steady presence that you need for a partner for Miro. And then, like you said, Chris, Bush and Harley have looked pretty well together as well. Is this the long-term solution with these D pairings, the way that they are, and Dumba just twiddles his thumbs up in the press box?
Yeah, I hope not. I'm still caught up in the fantasy that we can have 3 lefties and 3 righties. I think that would be ideal. I think Dumba is good enough to be in that position, and I don't know what it's going to take to get it figured out. I mean, it's a long season. Things are going to happen. We're going to see Dumba again before the season's over for sure. But yeah, I don't know. I'd like to see Miro play on his left with somebody on his right side. And I really liked having Lindell playing with Lundqvist too. I thought that gave him a lot of confidence to have a good start to the season as well. So yeah, it's just really unfortunate how poorly Dumba's playing. And I think that's the key that's kind of screwing this all up.
I think you're right that, like, ideally we want the 3 on the right, 3 on the left, and that would be spectacular. But I don't see it happening at this point.
It hasn't worked.
And,
it hasn't worked very well yet.
Lindell has played very well in that spot. I mean, he has 7 points in his last 7 games now, which is nuts for him. That is out of his mind. And it's the best we've seen him play, I feel like, in a very, very, very long time, especially offensively. It seems like he's always contributing somehow. And even with him and Miro on the same line and Miro having to play his offside, Miro still knows he can go for these stupid, risky plays like he did last night the other game against Pittsburgh. He's going his breakaway goal. He cheats all the way to the top of the defensive zone and picks off a pass above the dots and goes. I mean, that's something that we've never seen from Miro before. And I feel like a lot of that is because he knows if he messes up, he's got Esa Lindell back there waiting. I mean, he's got a great defensive partner no matter what happens.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I want that ideal picture.
Yeah.
I think it would.
Who doesn't?
Like if Dumbo was doing what he should, like obviously
Oh, this would
that's
make sense.
ideal, but he's not right now. He's not even close. So yeah, you're right. Is what
Yeah,
I'm trying
well,
to say.
There's more we can go into on that. We'll talk about it on another episode. But I do want to congratulate Oscar Back, first NHL goal. And
Yep.
weirdly, I know he probably didn't fully mean to do it.
What do you mean?
But
What?
I mean, he meant to poke it, but
He meant to put it in the net. That was a poke to go in. Was it a high skill play? Debatable, but
anyways,
we
what I
tried
was
to
gonna
score.
say, was it was really pretty. It was cool. That was awesome the way it went in.
It's funny that he scores that way when he does that so often in the defensive zone to break up passes.
Yes,
that
he
one-handed
does it really
little
well.
poke all the time, and that's what he scores off of.
Yep.
So seriously, congratulations to him. That I hope more in the bag for him in the future. He's been playing really well as of late.
Yeah.
Now, on the flip side of that, the reason why he's in the lineup is because Maverick Bourque has not been playing up to his standard. Now, it's also not fair to him because we're used to rookies like Miro Heiskanen coming in, or Wyatt Johnston, or Logan Stankoven, or insert name here, Jamie Benn when he came in. So, and that was something they mentioned in the broadcast. He's just playing like a regular rookie.
Yes.
And
How dare he?
Yeah, exactly.
What the heck?
Now, so I don't want to say that I'm worried about him, and I'm not worried that he's not going to get it going, but I am slightly. I don't want to say I'm concerned. That's a better word, I guess I should
He's
use.
not superstitious, but he is a little stitious.
Just a little stitious. Yes, thank you, Michael Scott. I mean, what are y'all's thoughts on Bourque being scratched for this game? Oscar Back getting in, just that whole situation.
I think Bourque was probably way overhyped. I mean, wasn't he picked like second for Calder odds?
I think he was third.
He was third. Still, that's ridiculous.
He wasn't
high.
He wasn't
He was top
high.
five.
He was high, Ryan.
I think
Depends
he
on
was,
what sportsbook you were looking at, but he was top 5.
People
well, if you were using DraftKings Sportsbook, which I know, he was probably sixth or 7th at the beginning of the season. I know that for sure.
It's
Someone fact check.
Still really high, and that's just that's not something that we'd seen from him. Even when he would come up for one game, he plays solid. He doesn't give up a lot on the defensive side, which is great for a rookie. But his offensive side is definitely a step slow for the NHL, and he just hasn't figured it out yet. And that's just something he's going to have to struggle through for the season.
Yeah, and that's why I'm not worried, because it's not like he's just fully behind everybody. It's not like he's out of place when he's playing up there. He just doesn't. He just hasn't been able to translate that offensive prowess that he had in the AHL to the NHL. So I'm not worried, because he still looks like he belongs. It's not like he's way behind.
Yeah, and that is absolutely fair to say as well, with that going on. Okay, we've gotten this far without talking about Jake Ottinger. He's another solid night for him tonight, especially when the game was close before the offensive explosion in the second half of the second period. He was very good. He made some very timely key stops off of some rush chances that Boston had. And, he had a little bit of luck there too, but I mean, you have to have both. You have to have luck and be good in order to play well in this league as a number one goalie. What'd y'all see from him tonight?
Yeah, he was solid. I liked he made some aggressive poke checks early, which I like. He generally likes to leave those and let those kind of go through. And then later on in the game, he got burned because he didn't go after one that went through the crease. That was a slam dunk. So maybe that's a learning thing he can do. Maybe that's something he's working on, is trying to be more active with that stick, especially on those cross crease passes, which are especially detrimental to him, who likes to position more than he likes to scramble. So he's less likely to get those saves when they go across the crease. So a little bit more of an active paddle there is going to help. And he was doing it earlier, so I think he can do it more.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing to see him be more of the hero this year rather than the villain that he loves to be so much. I mean, he's been outstanding at home. I mean, it's been insane. It's not something that we've seen from him basically for his entire career. I mean, he always plays fine at home, but he's playing like he's on the road is what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
and it's been awesome.
Unfortunately, his road numbers have also suffered. So
Yeah,
he's
it's
just
like, we
flipped
gotta.
it.
So, and just a side note on that, the Stars have not lost an American Airlines Center. Technically, they have lost a game.
Have lost a home
at
game,
home.
but haven't lost in the American Airlines.
But it
Yes,
doesn't
exactly.
count as an NHL home game for the record books, which is stupid.
It's weird. I don't know.
So
I get
the
it.
Stars are
Whatever.
on a 7-game home streak.
I'm so confused.
Thank you, NHL. Make it make sense. Okay. I think we've pretty much hit everything. I mean, special teams was not really a big deal in this contest tonight. The first penalty kill for the Stars was good. Not so much the second one. I did not like the way they played the second one. I mean, what else am I missing here, guys, that we haven't talked about?
The only goals allowed, the first one, I mean, that was a pretty bad play by Blackwell, actually.
Twice.
But yeah, both
that
ends of
is-
the
yes,
yeah.
yes.
But
true.
honestly, the first really bad thing he's done so far.
Yeah.
So I'll take that. Game 15, he made his first mistake. It was a pretty big one, but pretty good. And then the Duchesne one, I mean, you just slipped when Pastrnak's on the ice. It's gonna go in.
Literally the guy that has scored more goals than Austin Matthews in the last 3 seasons? 2
I think it's
seasons?
two
Something like-
seasons.
Last
Yeah.
2 seasons. He has more goals than Austin Matthews. That's absolutely nuts. So, okay. Let's start to wrap this thing up here tonight, guys, because we could go into, honestly, I feel like with the way this game went, there's so much to talk about, but we got to save some of it. Let's do biggest winner, biggest loser. Who you got? Why?
I'll even take Mason Marchman again. I mean, he didn't. It wasn't like he led the way far and beyond like he did last night with points, but he still just looked so confident, and it looked like everything was so easy to him. So I hope he can hold on to this for as long as possible.
All right, I'm giving a weird biggest winner. All right, I'm choosing it from a different game. I'm going to give my biggest winner to Yanni Hakanpää because he played he played for Toronto last night. So good for him getting back in and playing again.
Yeah, I looked into that a little bit, and apparently it's going to be kind of a long-term issue that he's going to deal with. Like he was saying that he went through a pretty long process to figure out how to play tonight. So he might be in a game in, game out kind of deal like Rope was a couple years ago, and he's working hard to skate, and hopefully he can keep doing it. So good to see him back on the ice for sure.
Okay, that kind of reminds me of the whole Mark Stone situation. He's got some thing that he's just gonna have to live with, and yeah, you know, I really hope for Yanni. We gave him a lot of crap when he was here, but I miss him. I do, and I wish him the best. I really hope he does well up in Toronto. So that's a good one, James. A good biggest winner for you to pick tonight. For me, I guess I'll go with a lesser obvious one, but I'll give it to Oscar back. He deserves it for getting his first NHL goal. It was a cool one. It was an awesome one, and you never forget your first NHL goal. I love the way that the crowd reacted when he got when it was announced by Jeff K.
Yep.
I mean, it wasn't like a complete standing ovation, but it was much louder than it normally is for just a regular old goal scored in a regular season game. There were people that were standing up as well to salute him for his first NHL goal.
And he's tied for lead with the team on points with 4 other people, but hey, tied for the lead.
Okay, biggest loser. There's a couple of easy ones to pick from. You gonna pick an easy one, Chris?
I think the obvious one is Swayman. I mean, yikes. There was a couple there that the goalie that's paid as much as he is, especially with how big of a story it was this offseason, should probably hang on to. If you're paid that much, I don't think you should ever allow 7 goals, and that was bad. Surprised he didn't get pulled.
Like literally at the same time, though, he made some pretty good saves in the first and second period.
He made a couple of good saves, and he let in a couple of bad ones. So that's not what you're paid for.
And Ottinger did not let any bad ones in, especially that second one. My gosh, that shot from Pastrnak. That's disgusting.
That's disgusting.
Ugh. Okay. James, who you got?
I kind of revealed my biggest loser already, but it's Wyatt Johnston because he's the only forward without a point.
It's sad.
It's just so unfortunate,
and
man.
It's not like he didn't try. It's just he's the only one on the forward group without a point, and that's how it goes sometimes.
Yeah, he literally played good, and he's still the biggest loser.
The second line is gonna kind of cool off a little bit, and either Rope and Robo are gonna get it going, or that third line is gonna get it going. It always seems the last 2 years that they just kind of take their turns as to who's the leader offensively when it comes to the top 3 lines. So we'll see how it goes. Anyways, I'm with Jacob over here. I'm gonna give it to Zadorov.
Yep.
Even though I would love for him to be on a bottom pairing in Dallas.
Yeah.
The baby temper tantrum that he threw at the end of the game after the 7th goal. Like, dude, I understand, but no, don't do that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how much more would you like to have Zadorov than Dumba?
Right now, he's playing and Dumba's not. So,
yep.
And you know what's funny?
That's a win.
I think Zadorov is making $5
million,
more. Maybe a little over.
I don't
know.
So
it's not like he's making that much more than Dumba is. So, I really hope Dumba figures it out, man. I know we talked about him 3 times, but we need him to figure it out. And it just echoes. Yeah, sorry. There's echoes of last episode. All right. Anything else, guys?
That's it.
Let's wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for watching live with us here tonight and all the discourse that we have had. As always, thank you to our sponsors, DraftKings Sportsbook, Game Time, and Raycon. That promo code is THPN. Go and use that code for special discounts. And
you can put that on Game Time right now, and it'll automatically be applied to your next purchase. Just do it. It's in settings. Go settings, promo code, type in THPN, donezo.
And it's very easy to do. And as always, sarcasticremarks.com is the website. Follow us on all social media platforms at SarcasticR. Leave us a 5-star review anywhere you listen to your podcast. And please leave us a 5-star review, especially on Apple Podcasts. That seems to give us the biggest jump for growth-wise. Anyways, along with Chris and along with James, my name is Ryan. We will catch you guys on the flip side. Hope you guys have a good, fantastic morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you guys are listening. Chris, what have you got for us tonight?
Bye-bye, bees. GG, boys.